the Geekcast. It's Retro Ray here again. We got an awesome guest for the show today. Show that you kind of watch that's based of San Antonio. It's called Primo. Um, he's actor, producer, Johnny Rey Diaz. He's been in NCIS. He's been in Scorpion. His list goes on. You got to watch the stuff he's done. Can't wait any longer. Let's get him in the room. Johnny.
Yo, what's up, brother?
How's it going, sir?
Good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. How's it going in Cali right now?
It's good, man. You know, we're in a strike right now, so
yeah, that's
there's no work. But you know, shout out to all my writer friends right now that are going through it, that you know, are fighting to get a fair deal, and they deserve one. You know, so kind of we're standing in solidarity with them, and hopefully, you know, the networks end up taking care of their needs. You know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I know a lot of comic book writers in general. I mean, without those guys, we wouldn't have these awesome shows. We wouldn't have these awesome comics, you know. So yeah, these guys give us all this awesome stuff to watch and content, you know.
Yeah.
So for fans who really, I mean, dude, you go from working as an intern at Disney. Then you go to
taking me back.
Yeah, and then you go to acting, you know, get into your acting. Of course, your first, you know, role as a non-speaker it goes back to, I guess it was Revenge.
Yeah, that was let me think. Yeah, that was the first time I ever did background on a TV show, and that was my first TV show ever. And it's so weird because I remember working on that show, and so for background, I went to school for journalism, and I remember on the show, my role was like background, but it was like reporter, right?
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, like, man, I made it. You know, I went to journalism school. I'm playing a reporter as background, and then the funny part is, like, if you talk to, I don't know if you've talked to Henry at all, Henry Esteve,
No.
from Primo as well. He used to work on Revenge.
Oh,
and I joked with him. I was like, bro, like, maybe I was working background when you were on the show, you know? Like, I don't remember if it was around the same time, but it's just a small world, man. So,
dude, it is definitely small world, man.
Yeah.
So going from that, and then, you know, of course, when we talked before, you know, coming onto the show, of course, you saw my shirt. So yeah. Terminator's what got you into acting. Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
You know, I would say, like, I always kind of say that sort of planted the seed.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, you know, one, it's like one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Like, literally, anytime it ever comes on TV, I'll, like, just leave it on because I just love that movie, you know?
Same here.
And for me, the reason why is because I remember when I was a kid, you know, I'm first gen, and my parents are immigrants, and, like, they were very strict with me. And I wasn't allowed to watch movies like that when I was a kid, especially rated R movies. They were very strict with me. And I remember one time my cousin had it on VHS, and it was at his house. And he was like, "Hey, man, you want to watch this movie?" And I felt like I was doing something illegal, you know? I was like, "Am I even allowed to be here?" I was like, "What if we get caught?" You know? And then I remember we were watching on this, like, little tiny TV in his room, and I was just blown away, man. Just like a little kid with his imagination, just like all of that was just kind of lit on fire. And I was just like, wow, like, this movie is incredible. Like, how do they do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that movie, it kind of just planted the seed, you know, of, like, maybe potentially one day working in the industry. And I think that was the movie that kind of did it for me.
Nice. So then, not jumping too far ahead, but we were talking about before the show.
Yeah.
So you got to work on the show Scorpion, and you also got to work alongside Robert. So, okay, getting back to what you're saying, okay, geeking out wise.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you walk on set, the first day you see Robert, like, what's the first thing that pops in your head? I mean, are you kind of like John Connor seeing the Terminator? And you're like,
he goes to shake my hand. I'm like, well, no, hold on. Is his hand turning into liquid metal? I don't know. No, I mean, yeah, man, it was one of those, like, I mean, obviously, like, I knew ahead of time because I booked the part, and then, I had to show up on set, so I already knew the show, so I knew he was on the show. I saw that most of my scenes were basically with him. Like, almost all my
Oh,
scenes were with
dude.
him. And so I was like, "Oh, man, like, I have a lot of scenes with this guy." Um, and it was just like one of those, like, full circle moments, where
Yeah.
I think I think the hard part about, this job or this career is that you question yourself a lot. Like, there's a lot of doubt, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of like, am I doing the right thing? Like, should I give up? Like, you get no all the time that it becomes so normal,
Yeah.
and sometimes you start to question, like, maybe I should do something else. And I think we all go through that, most actors at least.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Unless like it goes overnight where you blow up, but that's kind of rare.
Yeah.
um, but for me, it was the grind of years of grinding, and there was a lot of years of like, I don't know if I should do this and that kind of thing. And then you have moments like that where, like I said, like that was a movie that for me I felt planted the seed, and it was always such a big movie in my life because I'm such a movie fan.
Yeah.
Um, and now to be working opposite him, and now we're peers. We're
That's
obviously
awesome.
obviously I'm not the level he's at, but we're there on set. We have scenes together. We're sitting next to each other. We're talking. We're laughing. We're goofing with each other. He's a hilarious
Wow.
guy, and I know they obviously say never meet your idols, but
Yeah.
he is not that guy. Like, he's so gracious. He's so funny. He's just so giving. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And it really made it cool to like have that moment to be like, yeah, maybe I am on the right path. Maybe I am doing the right thing. So
Yeah.
that was what it was for me. It was like more of a full circle moment.
That's freaking awesome, man. So, did you ask for an autograph?
No, but I took a picture. I was
Oh,
like, I'm not.
nice.
There's no way I'm not allowed to leave without a photo.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely had to take a picture.
Dude, that's that. See, the stuff like that too. Like, to be honest with you, I kind of can relate to you to an extent because, like, right now, me doing this right now with you, um, if you would have told me when I was 13, I'd be having a podcast and working and getting to interview actors and Latino actors as well who represent us, on TV and in movies, I would have probably laughed at you if you would have told me that. And it is true. I mean, like you said, it's the grind. If
Yeah,
you work hard enough, you love it, you're gonna do what you got to do to get there. And that's where I can relate with you there. You know what I mean? I doing what I'm doing right now. I was scared of shit. I'll be honest with you when
yeah,
I first started
yeah,
doing my interviews.
yeah.
But dude, you going from that, I mean, getting back to that, you won awards for your directing in movies, your independent films, uh, and you won Best Actor for films that you've done as well. I mean, when you get that recognition, is it kind of like you're like pinching me in my dreaming kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, all that stuff is great, like the awards and all that. I think it's a little bit of validation because I'm the type of person that doesn't really, I don't do well at celebrating. We'll say it that way.
You don't
Um,
take you kind of like you
yeah,
got it, but you kind of feel like you don't know how to take it, kind
I,
of.
I don't know how to take it. I don't often take compliments very well.
Yeah, I'm the same
I
way.
think it's just my nature, man. I think it was just the way I was raised and stuff, and so
I think so. Mexican, Hispanics, yeah,
yeah,
Latin, yeah, our families, the way they
it's like
raise us.
you don't really like. I've been trying to get better at it where I actually take time to celebrate things,
Yeah,
but a lot of times I'll get something, and for me, it's always like as soon as it's done, I just want the next job. I'm already like, how do I get the
nice.
next thing? How do I like? I think it's just my nature that I always want to be working.
Yeah,
This is I'm a grinder. Like I got it
yeah,
from my dad. Like my dad's like one of the hardest working people I know, and um, to this day, I mean, I just admire like how hard of a worker he is, and I think I just got that energy from him where it's like, all right, this is cool, but like, as long as it leads to another thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't get too excited because I know it could all go away tomorrow,
yeah.
and I still have that in me a little bit where,
That fear.
y- yeah, even with Primo, it's like the show is doing really well, and I'm really grateful for it, and it's amazing to have worked with the people I work with, but I'm also like aware that it could end tomorrow. and
Yeah.
I could kind of be back where I was. And not that where I was bad, but it just means that the job never finishes. Like I gotta keep going, you know.
Yeah.
And so
Never
I have a
stop.
lot of that in me. Yeah, it kind of never stops. And I think in some ways, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because a curse, you're not taking the moment to just be present and be like, all right, I'm celebrating what's here. But at the same time, it keeps you motivated, right? It keeps you going. Um, so so yeah, man, it's I think it's a little tough sometimes, but it kind of is what it is. You know?
Yeah, I really believe what you're saying because I mean, and it's funny because I've been thinking about as I'm getting older, we become our we become like our fathers. We pick up their habits, we pick up their models. We don't think that we're doing it. It's
Yeah,
just because we saw how they are. I think eventually it just gradually we become them slowly and we pick up those work ethics, those, those little models. Like my dad, his truck, he has a truck. Of course, I have a truck too.
yeah.
Um, but I used to laugh because he would treat that thing so dude, he would vacuum it, he'd
Like it
freaking
was his son, right?
yeah, and, I would be like, "Dad, come on, it's gonna get dirty again." You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
but
Uh,
now I catch myself doing the same thing,
yeah.
and I'm like,
That's
"It's
funny,
just a
man.
truck."
Yeah,
But
that's
I
so
guess,
funny.
like I said, it's the truth. It's weird, and like I said, I can really see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I get that too. Because like my dad, I mean, my dad's retired now. Um, he doesn't need to work. Like he's worked hard. He's done well, and he's bought some property in Arizona where I'm from originally, and
nice,
he lives off the rent that he's been able to do that. And he's basically just like a handyman now. He goes to all the houses, fixes things, that kind of stuff.
nice.
But he got a job, like a part-time job, like at a food shelter. And I said, like, hey, like, why are you working? Like, you kind of don't really need to, you know? And he's
Yeah,
like, because I'm bored, like literally it's like, no, I need to work. Like I need something to do with my hands and I need to feel like I'm doing
yeah,
something. And I think there is something about that where it's like I think, for especially for like maybe Latino men, we need to have like a purpose almost, like there needs to be like a reason, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's a big part of it too.
It's true because I mean, and I think without them, you know, our fathers like that, like my dad, I believe, like I'm good at fixing like hospital beds and stuff like that. But when it comes to around the house stuff, I'm not that great because I didn't go to school for it, so I don't know how to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But my dad's he's up there, and my water heater went out, like a couple of weeks ago, and I call a plumber, and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be 5 grand to put a new water heater." And my dad
yeah.
goes, he's like, "What?" I'm like, he's like, "Dude," he's like, "Come pick me up," and I'm like, "Okay." He's
Yeah,
like, and then me and him go to Lowe's, and
yeah,
then there's me and my dad putting a water heater in the thing, and I'm like, he's old man. I'm like, "Dad, you don't have to be doing it. Just tell me what to do. I'll do it." He's like, "No, I'm
yeah,
gonna do it," and I'm like,
yeah,
"But you know what? And that's I guess that's why our parents are the way they are, and like I said, yeah, I can relate with you like on your dad.
yeah.
I think
My dad's the same way. My dad, I mean, he does flooring. Like he'll put in flooring. He doesn't know how to do it. I'll figure it out. Like like it's just like he just knows how to do stuff. So he's always been the same. Like if I needed a thing with my car or something happened or whatever,
yeah.
oh no, I know how to fix that or I know how to do that. It's like it just it's almost like it's just born inside of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's
So
good too. I enjoy doing. I tell my dad too. I tell him thank you for it because I mean it's like I learned something new today, and now
yeah,
I know what to do next time. But it's a great thing is and that's why I relate to Primo so much, and I like the show because it I think everyone in the Latino based community can relate to this show, and then you guys especially each of you characters that you bring to the show. Like I know somebody like Rolly,
mm,
you know what I mean, and don't get me wrong, he's funny, he's hilarious. But you know what though? He'll kick your ass if you push you know what I mean? That's what I see in Rolly because I mean he
yeah,
looks cool and all that, but if you hurt him the wrong way,
yeah,
be careful.
yeah.
Because like that one episode where they talked about he head butted a guy at the strip joint or something like
Right,
that.
right.
That I see that. I know that character. I've seen a person just like that.
I think we all know a Rolly somewhere.
Yeah.
I know I have friends I went to high school with that remind me of him, and he's loosely based on a friend of mine from high school. He's still one of my friends today. Uh,
Nice.
so yeah, Rolly's interesting character, and a huge credit to Shea Serrano and Mike Schur, because when they were crafting the characters, they could have made Rolly very like two dimensional,
Yeah.
and I think that they really added a lot of layers to him, which is something I really appreciated as a performer,
Yeah.
because he could have been so on the uh, sort of like written on the page of somehow, but like there's moments where you see him really impart wisdom into Rafa
Yeah.
when he's asking for advice based on his own life experiences. And I just think it's so amazing that they have that for each character in Primo, which is I think is why it's working so well, is that you're seeing like a little bit of background of each one of these characters and that there's a lot of heart behind them.
Yeah.
So even though Rolly does say like a lot of stupid things, he's quick to throw a fist. Like
Yeah.
he has reasons for why he does these things, and I think that's what's really cool about the character.
Yeah, definitely, man. And then, like you guys play off each other. Like there's that one scene. If you haven't watched, it's too late. Spoilers, telling you in advance. The one scene where Rafa comes up to Jonathan's character and he's wanting to work. And
Yeah.
then y'all guys are whether fighting, hitting each other in the head with the shovels. That dude, I couldn't stop laughing when I saw that. Because that's how me and my cousins used to be when we
Yeah.
because my like I said, my uncles and stuff for carpenters, electricians. So over the summer, we would go work
Mm,
with our uncles, and they would pay us on the side and stuff.
yeah.
But that's what we would be doing when we're supposed to be working. We'd
Right.
be
Just goofing
fighting with
off.
each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why, like I told you, that's why I love this show so much because it's like I'm seeing parts of my family
Your
and stuff.
family in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just Shay is a great. I found out about Shay by actually listening to another podcast and about one of his books. He's an awesome writer,
Oh
and
yeah. He's good, man.
and dude, you getting to work with Shay, and of course, you're rocking your Phoenix Suns hat as well. How
I
was it
have to,
working on
man.
set
I'm
with
gonna
a
have to.
Spurs fan and a Phoenix fan in the same?
It was cool. I mean, we bonded over basketball. Obviously, like, look, you guys had a dynasty. We haven't had anything, so so we'll just close that argument right off the bat. But it was cool because I remember when we were shooting last summer, it was during the NBA playoffs.
Nice,
So there was certain times on set, where I was literally watching the games like in
nice.
between like takes, or I was watching it at lunch. I had it on my iPad, and I'm just a fan of basketball in general. Like I grew up playing basketball, so I love
Oh
basketball.
yeah.
So I'd be like watching like the Warriors game or whoever was playing during that series, and like Shay would just come over at lunch and he's like, "Yo, can I sit with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course, man." We talk about basketball, we talk about the show, we talk about life, like what he's trying to do, and like I
Nice.
thought it was really cool because it was like good, bonding time.
Yeah.
To I think it's easy to bond with somebody when you have like a common interest, and
Oh yeah.
basketball is a good one for me. So
Oh, dude, basketball. I'm right there with you. I've been a Spurs fan. This is before Dynasty started. Um, dude, Charles Barkley when he was with the Phoenix Suns,
yeah,
dude, he threw that nail in the coffin. I can remember it till right now. It was Barkley at the top of the key. David Robinson was right in front of him, and it was that one shot, and he beat us and knocked us out
yeah,
of the playoffs.
yeah,
To
yeah.
this day, I still remember it.
Those
And
are good.
this
Those are good years for us.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
Yeah,
Phoenix back then, dude, yeah, basketball. You want to talk basketball? That could be another
yeah.
show in
There's a whole nother
itself.
podcast. That's the
Yeah, that's
next
another.
podcast.
Oh, actually, the funny thing is,
Starting one.
no, we already did.
Oh,
Now,
okay, dope.
okay, so check this out. This you're gonna probably laugh. So I met a guy whose name's David Lozano. He created the Star Wars stuff podcast, and he's had it out for at least about 4 years.
Okay.
It's up there on Apple and Spotify and all that, right? He lives in Seguin, little town outside of San Antonio. I meet him meeting with this podcast here, and when the Spurs thing happened, and when he found out what I did with Tim Duncan,
Mm,
he's like, "Dude, you're that much of a basketball." I was like, "Dude, I go back to Michael Jordan when he first got drafted." I go, "That's how far back I started watching basketball." I actually was
mhm.
watching basketball before that when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were
Magic
going at
Johnson.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like, "You're serious?" I was like, "Yeah." And then when he found out what I did, He's like, dude, no way. He's like, do you want to do a Spurs podcast? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Because I believe, okay,
Yo,
there's sports
have you guys
fans.
had Shay on there?
No, that's my goal. He is my, like you said,
You
you
can
gotta
reach
always
out to
keep on.
Shay, man. You could try
Oh,
to
dude,
see
I've
if you
reached
get
out
on
to
there.
him on
Have you?
Instagram. Yeah, I've reached out to him on Twitter, Instagram, but have not gotten no response. But
Okay.
him, he's on my bucket list. But I've interviewed people like in comic book artists as well. Like there's a director who's a producer who does the DC made to animated movie shows. His name
Okay.
is Sam. Dude, never been to San Antonio. If you look him up, he's always rocking a Spurs hat in
Mm,
every photo he takes for that.
mm,
So the way I see it is there's basketball fans who are geeks as well.
yeah.
So we
Oh,
got to
for sure.
bring
For
bring
sure.
them together, man. You bring them
Yeah.
together, you're golden.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have a Spurs podcast. So we
That's
just
that's
talk.
all that's so cool though, man. I mean, you guys like the thing about the Spurs is that like I I always used to say like the Spurs remind me of like that old guy at the gym, like at 24 Hour Fitness, LA Fitness, that you're like, man, I'm not even gonna guard this guy. Like this dude's not even that good. Like look at him, he's over there,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden for whatever reason, you're like, what? How does this dude scoring all over me? Like he's dropping in like little layups, like passing the ball efficiently. It's like that's the Spurs. Like the Spurs is like fundamentals, you
Oh yeah.
know, and it was never flashy. And I was just like, I just remember. I think my memory of the Spurs is mostly like Duncan, Ginobili, Parker. Like that trio was like
Oh yeah.
really big at the time. You guys, I mean, they had them for a long time. But just because we always played you guys in the playoffs, we basically almost always lost. It was rare that we passed you guys, and it was just so frustrating as a fan. It was so hard. I was like, every time we got the Spurs, I was just like, oh my god, dude, not again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I feel you, man. You guys had some good years, and I'm still trying to get one ring. I'm still hoping,
Hey,
you
dude, like I
know.
said, the potential is there. Like I said, I was surprised, like when we were talking before the show, how they got rid of Monty. Um, but like I
Yeah.
said, if you look at all the coaches who are in the playoffs or either won championships, have all worked under Greg Popovich.
I mean, there's a reason why he's been in the coach for. I mean, like feels like his whole life basically. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I don't know how long he's been on the Spurs now, but it's like that dude is like. I mean, there's a reason why he's just so good. So yeah, it'd be exciting for you guys. With that new pick that you guys got, Wemby and everything. Like I think it's gonna be exciting over there again, which is really cool.
Well, you know what? Okay, so I have to ask this question. So we're bringing this up now.
Yeah,
Have you ever been to San Antonio?
yeah, I've been there.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
I've so my stepbrother used to live there, and
Oh,
that
nice.
was one of the reasons why I went. And then I remember I went to the Alamo one time, but that was a long time ago. But my stepbrother used to live there. He moved to Houston though.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of Texas ties. So
Nice.
my brother lives in Austin. Um, I have a lot of family that live in near College Station, like Bryan, Texas.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Oh, nice. A lot of
My
Texas ties
dad,
in.
my dad went to Texas A&M. My uncle
Aggie,
went to Texas
nice.
A&M. So there's a lot of like Texas ties and all,
Well, then now you
all that
got to
stuff.
come down to San Antonio and watch Wimby play against Phoenix.
Hey man, I'm hoping he comes to Phoenix. I feel like I've gone to a lot of Phoenix games this last season,
Yeah,
and I'm always going to Arizona to watch the games.
yeah,
But yeah, I'd love to, man. I'd love to. So
yeah. It'd be cool, man. Like I said, and then the one of these are the cool questions. Also, I already asked that question to Carlo and Jonathan, and this other one, of course, is going to be another one, because it's featured in the show itself. Whataburger.
yeah,
Since of course you have Texas ties, so I know that you've had to have Whataburger.
I I've had it. Okay, because they have it in Arizona. It's been
Oh,
in Arizona. Yo, yeah, it's been there for a long time.
shoot, I didn't even know that.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I maybe against popular opinion,
Uh-huh.
but I think because I remember Whataburger as a kid, and I remember when In-N-Out Burger came to Arizona because it was
Oh
literally
yeah,
my
yeah.
my second job. I was 16 years old, and I got a job at In-N-Out Burger. Um, I always thought In-N-Out Burger was like way better than Whataburger. Like, I actually didn't understand it when people were like, "Oh my god, I got to get a Whataburger." I was always like, "Wait, Whataburger is kind of shitty." Like that was like my outlook, because I was like, "No, In-N-Out, it's like way better." Like
I
I
think
don't
it's because
know,
it's bigger. I think it's just because it's bigger, and then in and
maybe
outs are a little bit smaller. I think
maybe
that's probably what it is. You know, Texas, everything has to be big in Texas.
that's true. That's true.
I'm
Yeah,
right there with you. I like them both. Like that's the same thing I told Jonathan was that. So I've got, you know, I like my Whataburger, then it's In and Out,
yeah.
and then McDonald's is like down here.
I mean,
So
I feel like that should be at the way at the bottom. But
yeah, so it's like down there.
yeah,
But yeah, so In and Out, like I said, I like it because I rather eat there than McDonald's because it's like what you're paying for is simple. You get lettuce,
yeah,
tomato, all that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely, I like them both. So and that's the thing. Everybody has to have like this war between the two. I like them both. I don't
yeah.
care.
There's nothing
You
wrong
got
with
to have
that.
your cravings. You have your cravings for this one, your craving for that one. So to me, I like them both. So that's why I just have to ask the question about the water burger and stuff because that's a big. It's like the
Yeah, I
whole
mean,
taco thing.
right. I mean, I also used to work there, so I remember working there. Like, it's legit. Like, the ingredients are extremely fresh at
Yeah.
In-N-Out Burger. Like, fresh so much that it would get annoying. As a 16-year-old kid, I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta peel these potatoes again." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, they really actually do care about the quality there. So,
Yeah. I agree with you. That's pretty cool, man.
yeah,
Now, of course, it's supposed to take place in San Antonio, but of course, y'all film in Albuquerque.
hmm
Um, how is it like? It does. I'll be honest with you, because it kind of looks. Well, I guess where you guys are filming, it does look like which will be equivalent to the west side of San Antonio, the way the neighborhoods are and stuff like that. The house design, it does look like the west side of San Antonio. I'll be honest with you. I was kind of like I kind of thought it was being filmed here until I found out where it was
okay,
being filmed.
yeah.
So it's kind of surprised.
Yeah, that's again, like, I'm sure Shay probably wanted to shoot in San Antonio, and
Yeah.
honestly, I would have rather shot there too.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
but there's a lot of film incentives for them to tax
Oh
incentives
yeah.
for them to shoot in New Mexico.
Yeah.
The advantage also is that there's a lot of studios there, so they already have like actual studios that we can use,
Nice.
because it's such a big, huge filming community there. They shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, like Netflix has a huge studio there. Like, there's tons of
Oh
crews.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have a massive studio in Albuquerque. So like LA is obviously like a big market, but Albuquerque is like pretty high up there too in terms of like film production.
Oh
So it
nice.
only made sense just because like they got more incentives. Everything's
Yeah.
basically already there. It's cheaper for them to do it there probably.
Yeah.
And so that's why they shot it there. Uh, but from an outside perspective, I would much rather be in San Antonio than Albuquerque. No knock on Albuquerque, but I think San Antonio is a much cooler city. So, but
Oh,
just saying,
hey, thanks, man. San Antonio, I feel like we get overlooked a lot. And the same thing, like going back to the basketball, even though, yeah, we've had a dynasty, ESPN, everybody doesn't give us no love. We get no respect. San Antonio, like I said, always gets overlooked for everything.
yeah,
So to me, anytime there's representation of San Antonio, I want to, get that out there, and one of the biggest things was, when I did the whole Tim Duncan thing was because I felt, you know, I want eyes on San Antonio,
yeah.
And dude, when that happened, dude, freaking, we had people from overseas calling the comic book store asking how could they get the comic. So
Oh, that's so cool.
people from Japan were calling
That's
people.
dope.
I mean, yeah. So I was kind of like, wow, it actually happened. Like San Antonio is a
Is on the
focus
map.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now, of course, with Wimby, that's another story there. But
Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, like I said, you guys, like I said, and that's one thing I like about Shay is that Shay he loves the Spurs. And that's one thing too. Like when I saw the room, when he's sitting in Rafa sitting in the room and he's
Yeah. All
got
the
his
Spurs stuff
jersey.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
I love it. That was another closer for me as well.
Those are all little Shay details because the character's loosely based on his life.
Yeah.
And so of course, like, he's gonna be a Spurs fan, you know.
Yeah.
I think that was really cool that he had those elements in there, and a lot of people. that like I recently shot a movie in I was in Texas like 3 weeks ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was in San Angelo though. I don't know if you know
Oh,
where that is.
dang.
It's a
Yeah, I know
really
that's up.
small town. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I was up there shooting a film, and the entire crew was from San Antonio. Like
Wow.
they had drove out to shoot the film, and like I don't know if they had watched Primo. Like I have no idea. And like literally
Yeah.
the first thing they say to me when I see them, they were like, "Oh my god, we just saw Primo. Like it's so cool to see San Antonio represented." And then like they're from San Antonio, for them it's like even like a bigger thing,
Yeah.
And I thought that was like really fun to see that it's already reaching people over there.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. It's y'all did a great thing. The chemistry between you and the cast, like I told Jonathan too, is like you kind of the way you and I know it's acting, and I think that's the best part. If you when you know the actor is doing an awesome job, is it doesn't take away from, like you get caught up and you're like the chemistry between you going back and forth, the bickering and everything is just so smooth. And it reminds me of being in my dad's kitchen with my cousins and stuff like that. So it's kind of like that's the best part of it. But I
Yeah.
mean, getting into Primo, dude, your acting is just crazy. Like, okay, you got to work alongside Mark Harmon in NCIS. Dude, that episode, I'm a TV junkie. Like I
Mm,
literally am watching. So I can't watch it a lot of times too. So I drive a lot for work. So I listen to podcasts. I'll listen to TV shows in
mm,
my head, instead of listening to the radio.
yeah.
And if it's a show I like, when listening to it, I'll come back home and actually watch it on TV.
Yeah.
So that episode you did where you were a Marine
Yeah.
who, that dude, my little brother's a Marine, and
Mm,
that was like it hurt, man. It literally okay, I don't cry very much, and I had
mm,
watched this, my wife wasn't here. She always gives me crap because I don't cry in certain movies, but dude, that thing had me tears
mm,
because what was happening with, with him, and then
yeah.
at the end, when Mark comes in and tells you, "Hey, blah, blah, blah,"
Yeah.
and then he's a super fi, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, that you you did an awesome job in that episodes."
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, that was a special role for me because like that was the first that was my first guest starring role on a TV show.
Oh, wow.
I'd worked on other TV shows before that, but this was like my first bigger part on an
Yeah, okay.
episode of TV.
Yeah.
Um, and it meant a lot to me too because like I remember when I was shooting it. I have family that's undocumented and they live
Yeah.
here in the United States, and I even have friends that I went to high school with that
Yeah.
undocumented too, like close friends too, and like I saw the struggles that they went through
Yeah.
just to try to survive out here, and it was hard. Like I just saw a friend of mine in Mexico like literally a week ago who came here when he was like one, and he ended up going back to Mexico because he never got his stuff straightened out. And I remember
Yeah,
like
I've
before
seen
he
that too.
left, he was telling me like, "Hey man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't even speak Spanish."
Yeah.
Um, and so I definitely had a lot of things that I could connect to with that
Yeah.
part where I could relate to that. And I remember like really thinking about my cousins because I had cousins that were going through something similar to that at the time. And it's just hard, man. It's just sad. It's just like really sad. And it was like really
Yeah.
it was heartbreaking, because they're all here just trying to make a better life. And
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean,
so
that's
it
the
was
thing.
rough. It was rough. Yeah. So it was like a special one for me, because it was like not only was it like a big part in the career, but it was also like a role that I really loved. And I was so grateful that they told a story that I didn't even know about. I didn't know that it was a thing that you could join the military but still not um, have applied for citizenship, and then having to go back. Like I didn't know that that was even an issue.
Yeah.
Um, so it really kind of opened my eyes to that too.
Yeah. And like I said, that was a great episode. And but like I said, man, you're acting. I mean, we can talk for hours on all the other stuff that you've done. I mean, you've been in Grey's Anatomy, uh, and then my wife, I watched it with her. Um, Queen of the South, that was
Mm.
freaking awesome. I mean, dude, you've been on such awesome shows and awesome parts and stuff like that, dude. every time you go to work, like, I mean, do you every time you and then I think like you said, it's you're always looking ahead, what's the next one gonna be? Um, so is it like do they send you your roles to audition for, or do you actually have to go up to like casting calls kind of thing, or how does it work when you get stuff like
Yeah.
that?
Um, I mean, it's all auditions now. I mean, it's still auditions at this point, even working with Primo. It's all opportunity, so like I wish I had more say in like picking and choosing parts and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
but it's just not I'm not at that level.
yeah,
Um so just auditioning and like I've been grateful, like God's been blessing me, giving me some really amazing opportunities, and
yeah.
to be able to play some really interesting and really cool parts. So yeah, just you get the audition, you back in the day when you actually went into a room and would audition in front of people, that was usually how you got a part. But now it's a self tape. You send in a tape from home and you send it in, and hopefully, fingers crossed, something happens. But yeah, all
Nice.
those parts, just 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 got lucky. God blessed me, and He gave me those opportunities, and just
That's awesome.
really really grateful and humbled that I've been able to do that, because I know I get again. I mean, too, like you grind, and you don't really know if like you're gonna find success, and you just kind of keep telling yourself like one foot in front of the other and just keep moving forward, and
Yeah.
hopefully something sticks, and then like slowly after you get one part, then you might get another one, and eventually kind of just keep building, building, building until you maybe get something like Primo, where it ends up being like the biggest role I've had on a show. And I just I know how lucky I am. Um, and I just feel like I'm a big believer in God, and I just feel like it's these little things that happen in my life and are just more of like little breadcrumbs that are kind of basically telling me like, hey, you're following the right path, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
um,
like stepping stone.
yeah, exactly. And I just kind of keep doing that, and then whatever whatever comes my way, whatever happens, is it's kind of up to him.
Well, the good thing about you is that you don't stop learning because you've done DJing, you've been behind a camera, you've been a photographer, so
Yeah,
you kind of know the in and outs from the front of the camera, from the back of the camera. So I think that's what really helps you a lot is that, especially with your indie films, is that you know what you want from the actors from both aspects because you're an actor. So you kind of know, I guess, how to treat your actor and what to ask from them. And I think that's what helps you in that aspect as well. Cause I kind of feel this is just my opinion and what I get from you. Um, you're very, uh, even though you're an actor, you treat everyone as equals, no matter if they're higher up, lower, you know, everyone's the same. And
yeah,
that's what I feel I get, from you. And I think that makes a big difference. The way you treat people with respect and everything like that, I really believe that makes a big difference and how you get treated in return. And that's how I feel. And that's what I feel that's how you are.
yeah. I mean, because really, at the end of the day, is like you treat people how you want to be treated,
Yeah.
and like I've been at the bottom, and I've you know not been treated very well, and
Yeah.
I've I've worked so many different types of jobs, and I've always been kind of like doing 5 jobs at one time, just because like
Yeah.
that's just who I am. And um, I love learning. I actually
Yeah.
like learning new skills, and I like taking random weird classes of like things I've never done before, just because I'm curious. Like I'm a curious person, and I want to understand why things are the way they are. And um,
Nice.
I think they make you, a more well-rounded person.
Yeah.
Not
I
only do
believe it.
you learn other skills, but like you also meet people from different communities that you never would have been exposed to. You know,
Yeah.
and I think there's things you can learn from them, and you can learn from each other. So
Yeah.
I think it's as a the thing about acting is like a lot of times, like when I've talked to people that are just starting out or want to be actors, or um, they want advice, what
Yeah.
I can tell them. And like I didn't, I didn't come from a family in the entertainment business. Like my
Yeah.
parents are blue collar immigrants. Um, all I know is the value of like hard work and education, because that's what they instilled in me. But
Yeah.
I always tell like people, like actors especially, is like go live, like experience life, like go try different things, like because that's what acting is. It's experiences, and like
Yeah.
you can't you can't expect to play these different parts if you've never like or sort of like lived life. Like you can't just do it all from your room. Like there has to be, you got to go out and be in nature. You got to take trips. You've got to like see different cultures. Like you have to understand the human experience, whatever that
Yeah.
might mean to you. um and so I think it's really important to try different things and learn new things and meet different people so you can understand their perspective.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of your job, is to bring a different person's experience to life, because it's not yours, it's somebody else's.
Yeah. That's the
um
thing. Yeah. Every character you play, you got to
yeah,
bring
it's
something
different,
different.
it's different, you know
Yeah.
so
That's pretty cool, man. Like I said, man, you're doing an awesome job of what you're doing right now. I mean, I look forward. I really wish we had more episodes than just 8 for Primo for the
I
season.
know, me too, me too.
But I mean, I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that we're gonna get a season 2. Um, because I want to see, what happens. I want to, and it's kind of funny too. Shay kind of tweeted out there that if season 2 happens, he wants to try to. I'm assuming what he meant to say was Ginobili on the show.
Oh my god.
I was kind of like, if he can make
The
that
Euro
happen,
step, the Euro step.
yeah, dude. I was like, oh my god, if he were to pull that off, that would be so sick. And I was like, oh man, I would just be so happy. Ginobili's one of my favorite players as
Yeah,
well. And
bro, I was just on Instagram earlier and I saw ESPN posted Ginobili highlights.
oh
And I was like, I haven't like really, it's been a while since I've watched any of his stuff. And like I was like, I kind of forgot, like he's got so much. Like that dude was like he was dangerous, man. Like kind of forgot like how slick he was.
yeah.
So yeah, especially being like a lefty, like it just, oh man, yeah, that dude was tricky. That
Oh
dude was
yeah, dude.
tricky with it.
Lefties are always the hardest to
Yeah,
guard, man.
yeah.
I used to hate having when I played basketball, I used to hate left-handers because and then I actually taught myself how to shoot left-handed
Oh really?
because
Okay.
yeah, because I was like, well shit, man, if this guy shoots left, I'm like, and there was a basketball player that I guess what really inspired me was Hank Aaron.
Hmm.
Hank, yeah.
Hammer and
eh,
Hank.
yeah, and he before he died, he started practicing shooting left-handed at the
Mm,
free throws.
mm,
And I was like, man, if he could do it, I was like, I could do it,
yeah,
and I kind
yeah.
of started practicing with back when I was in high school. But dude, if you want, like I said, that could be another show in itself about basketball. We're here to talk about your
Hey,
acting.
let me know. Let me know on the next basketball show.
uh, Getting back for the show, of course, we're Countdown to the Geek Cast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The main premise here is that everybody has a geek side.
yeah.
Of course, mine is comic books, um, sci-fi stuff. I like too much crap. My wife says I like too much stuff because if you can see my background, I got my art. My
Yeah, I
biggest
see it.
artist that I like is Alex Ross.
Mm,
He's on my bucket list. So I kind of like you said, I have a goal of people I want to meet. Like Alex Ross is one of them.
mm.
Uh, I have my Doctor Who stuff back there, my Tim Duncan pop figure right there.
Dope.
That's just a small section of my stuff. But
Yeah.
what is your geek site?
So we were talking about this earlier. Um, so I mean, I'm just a big movie fan. I'm a huge movie fan. I used to collect comic books. I still have a pretty decent sized collection back in Arizona.
Oh, nice.
But I have like I used to collect a lot of movie posters. I probably have like 30 of them, just like
Nice.
all over the place, like little things. I mean, I'll even show you, look, just for the podcast, I'll show you guys some of the toys I have that show you how nerdy this is.
Hey, we're taking over the world, man. So don't
I
worry
mean,
about that.
look, I'll show you a couple of these things real quick because it doesn't do a disservice for me to just tell you what it is, but like some of these things I have are like just really random shit that I'm like, why do I have this stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll show you right here. So like, okay, here's some stuff right here. All right, so show you the nerdy side. I collect like little toys, like movie toys, TV toys, things I like. Here's a Seinfeld Lego set,
Oh, nice.
completely unopened. It just sits up here.
Hey, it's looking pretty, man. It's looking pretty.
It's a big Seinfeld fan. I got a Die Hard puzzle game. Hasn't been opened
Oh,
either.
that's Mondo, man.
That's Mondo right here. And then
Nice.
this is from Mondo too. Like you can't. They're all up on the wall. They have. I literally have them. Like I have the basically the soundtracks from Back to the Future, all three movies.
Oh, man.
But Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time. This is number 3, which is the one that wasn't as good. But I have the soundtrack of all three like up on my wall. I just collect little toys. You know, I think I showed this one to you earlier. This is the Back to the Future on the Marty McFly.
Nice.
I love movies and I love like little knickknacks and stuff like that. So if you saw my place, you would see lots of different posters from like Demolition Man to Drive.
Oh.
You know, different Marvel posters. Like I love movies and I love stuff like this, and like it makes me happy. So
Oh, hey, that's what this show's about, man. It's about to
yeah,
talk about what makes us and happy and what we love. And
yeah,
I'm right there with you. I'm a big Back to the Future. I like Back to anything that has to do with time travel.
mm,
I think that's like my thing. Like Terminator, Doctor Who,
yeah.
Back to the Future, Quantum Leap is my
Okay,
favorite show. Yeah,
okay,
that's one of my
okay.
favorite shows. Actually, I
Did you
wish I
see
could
the
show
Did
you.
you see the Did you see the new one? Like the one that
Yeah.
they redid? Is it any good? I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude, if you love the original, it is awesome to the point where they're leading up, they're teasing without giving too much spoilers that they're trying to get back to Sam is what I take from it. That's what I'm taking.
Mm.
I'm not sure it's 100%. But the cool thing is we actually got to interview the set designer who did the the Ziggy, the headquarters. She
Oh
designed the
really?
set.
Oh
Yeah,
really?
we got
That's
to interview
cool.
her. Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
she also did the set for she recreated Enterprise,
Oh really?
the bridge. Yeah, she recreated it.
I used to actually watch Star Trek. So that's dope. That's amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
dude, I wish I could show you my Back to the Future piece. It's in the living room.
yeah.
So San Diego Comic-Con had a plutonium box and it had
Okay.
the Hot Wheel inside of it.
Mm,
So I ended up getting it, and when I got it, so I have so far the only one I need left is Michael J. Fox.
okay.
So I've already got Biff who signed it. I've got his mom who signed it. I've
Yeah.
got the principal who signed it.
Oh,
I
nice.
got Doc Brown who signed it.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I just need Michael J. Fox is like on my bucket
He's the
list to
only
get.
one. He's the
Yeah,
only one. Yeah.
I set those goals of like these are the things I need to get and
Yeah.
to do, and because like you said, you want to have that goal to go towards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
To work towards, and I think that's kind of like you. I'm in the same. You know, I want to work towards that, and
Yeah.
once I achieve that, I'm looking at what the next one's gonna be.
Right. Right.
But dude, that is so cool
That's
that
awesome,
you're.
man. Yeah.
So if you had like you told me earlier, if you had to pick one show, if you had to pick one movie,
One show, one movie to only watch.
yes.
Uh,
See, it's hard. You got me on the spot.
well, oh man. Yeah, that's a hard one, man. That's a that's a tough one. It
Okay.
depends. It depends on where I'm at, I guess, right? I don't know.
Okay. So now, okay, this other
Am
question.
I alone? Because that changes things too. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll go for this one then. This one is gonna be a little bit harder, I guess.
Okay.
I asked Carlos this one. If you had an opportunity to work in a genre
Mm,
that you liked,
mm.
Back to the Future, Terminator, if you had an opportunity to work on an IP of those,
Wow.
his was Ghostbusters.
Oh,
What
okay.
and what would your I guess goal to be on show wise, movie, show, whichever that you could be on?
Man,
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Jonathan said he would love to be on a Doctor Who episode.
Okay. Man,
So
that's a good, really hard question. because I'm already thinking like, all right, well, if I do like Terminator, maybe I get to work with James Cameron, you know. But then I'm thinking Back to the Future, like, all right, maybe Spielberg or Zemeckis.
Oh yeah,
So I
it's
kind
hard.
of, I feel like a world that would be really fun to be in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Terminator would be cool, but I feel like the movies have kind of tapered off.
Yeah,
I kind of think like Indiana Jones would be pretty fun, man. Just
nice.
because it's Spielberg's still there. I mean,
Yeah,
well, maybe not for the new one, I don't think, um, but like those movies are just like an adventure, and
yeah,
I think that's why I like those movies from like the '80s, like Back to the Future, because like they were just adventures, like they were just fun, and like
yeah.
they were fun worlds to be in, and like
Took
I
you
don't
away
know,
from reality.
yeah, and like I think Indiana Jones would be kind of cool because it's a period, and so you got to probably like be swinging from like trees or something in some like weird remote place with like I don't know dirt everywhere and like boulders coming at you, and like it seems like it'd be fun. I don't know, as an actor, it'd probably be a fun like performance, you know.
Nice.
So I don't know, man. It'd be either that or probably some kind of Terminator thing. But that's a
Well,
tough question.
Cameron's saying he wants to come back and he wants to write again. So,
Maybe after he's done with doing Avatar, because that's gonna be a while.
oh yeah, it's gonna. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, with the writer strike, it's supposedly they're saying it's gonna be like once if they resolve it, it's gonna be at least 6 months before they get back on track with rescheduling shoots and doing everything. But
I heard that that he's probably. I think the next one's not gonna come out to like 2030 or something like that.
yeah,
Something crazy. I'm like, man, like that's such a long time. Like I don't know. That's yeah. But anyway, I mean, props to James Cameron for like just. I mean, that dude's a visionary. Like,
oh
that guy's on another level. Like it's just
oh
like
yeah.
it's crazy. But
Well, what people don't know is that you like writing.
I do. I don't do as much of it as I used to. I think more because I just been like busy with stuff.
Yeah,
But like I definitely started off like writing. That was like the first thing I was ever doing before I ever became an actor. Like I never thought that I actually would ever become an actor, to be honest, because I don't know, like it didn't, it doesn't seem like a real job almost.
yeah,
Um, I didn't know that it was a real job, you know. But I used to do like a lot of like writing when I was a kid. Like especially, I used to write like a lot of poetry, short stories. Anytime
nice.
we had to do like a presentation in class, and we had to or like write stories or like create a story, that was always like really exciting to me. Like I get to make up a
Nice.
story. Like I was like, oh my god, what am I going to come up with? You know, to come up with some crazy thing. Um, so that's kind of like where I think the creativity initially started. It was like writing, and I was always pretty good at it, and so that's why I went to school for journalism. I didn't like I have no like connection to journalism, and I actually don't even like the news. But when I was in college, I changed my degree like two or three times, and I ended up doing journalism because I literally like met some people that were interning at a radio station I was interning at, and they were all going to the journalism school, and I was like, oh, that actually sounds kind of cool, like just writing. Like I don't know why I never thought of like just like going to school for like writing basically. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do journalism, and then so I did it, but I never liked the news. I don't know why. What I was thinking, I should have just done like English or something. But um, yeah, at the time I was like, I'm almost done. Let me just finish it. Um, but very different writing for news than writing, like a made up story. Like very different things.
Well, there you go. That could be your next thing because you've got producing, you've got acting.
Got to
Now
do
you
it.
just got to write your own movie and direct it, and there you go. You could be Kevin Smith.
Yeah, hey, that's true. He does it all the time.
Yeah,
No,
dude.
I'm actually I have a short film that I wrote a while back that I'm gonna actually probably direct in about a month.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, so I'm kind of getting ready to do that. I'm actually tomorrow I'm scouting the location with the DP.
Oh,
Um,
sweet.
so this is a short film that I wrote, and been wanting to do it for a long time, and I kind of just keep putting it off. So I'm like, all right, it's time, you
There
know.
you go, man. That's you
So
just put it in the thing to get it done, man.
it's out there. It's out there.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. like I
Yeah.
said, man, I appreciate you for taking the time to come in on the show.
No,
It
man,
was
it's
it was
fun.
awesome. It was awesome show talking to you, getting to geek out with you,
Yeah.
and get to know more about you. Um, look forward to your short.
Oh,
I want to
yeah,
see
the
that
short.
when
Hopefully
you
season
finish it.
2. Hopefully season 2.
Yeah. Hopefully
So
season 2
that's the
get you
next thing.
back on. And like I
Yeah.
said, man, if once you finish your short film that you do, you want to talk about it, I'm here, man. I'll
Hey, man,
definitely.
happy to talk about it, and yeah, I just always like creating stuff. So especially right now, when things are like a little slower with the acting stuff because of the whole strike and everything, then
Yeah.
it seems like a good time to like you know go out and finish that project. So yeah, man. But uh, but yeah, thanks for having me, man. This is fun. I love talking about movies and sports. It's like my those are like my two passions is like movies and sports. Like that's if I could. People ask me if I didn't work in film, what would you do? And like I really don't have an answer because I'm like I really don't know what else I would do.
Yeah.
The only thing I can come up with is I would want to work in sports.
Yeah,
Like
that's how I same thing me too. Yeah. I
that's it.
love sports, man.
That's it. Those are my only two things. So, but
Well,
yeah,
definitely, man. Like I said, yeah. I guess once the season, comes on, whatever, uh, maybe we can get you on the Spurs podcast, or maybe we can get you and Shay to talk about basketball. That would be freaking awesome.
let's get. How about you guys do the Phoenix Suns podcast?
Hey, we could talk
Hey,
about the
one
Suns and
day.
Spurs. Yeah. Hey,
There's not enough. There's not a big enough fan base for
hey,
that.
hey, dude, you had you had a podcast you put together. You could do a Phoenix Suns.
I could, man,
You
but
got connections too.
it's rough, man. It's a rough. It's
Yeah,
a rough
podcasting is a
go.
little hard too. Yeah, I never realized how hard
Yeah,
it is, especially when you got to edit and you got to put the music. I
yeah.
didn't realize I've never done it before, so yeah, I can kind
It
of it
takes it
does.
takes a lot of time. It's I commend you too because like getting guests and having people come on and stuff like that. It's tough. It's hard, So good for you for like keeping it going, because I know how hard it is, to maintain that.
Yeah, it is definitely hard. But like I said, when we have cool people like you who take the time, and because like I said, at the end of the day, the fans is what keeps the actors going, the writers for the shows, because we're the ones that sit behind the TV and watch, and especially if the fans could see that the actor is just like them, they have the same likes, the same, they're geeks or vice versa. It really makes a big difference, and it makes them love those actors more because they see, hey man, they're like us.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. And but like I said, man, thank you very much, and have a good week or weekend because it's Friday.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Thank you.
and we'll go from there, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, sir. Man.